What is up, you absolute stunners? Welcome back to a very special video. We're going to take a Harley Davidson out for a test ride, the first time ever. If you're interested in finding out more, stay tuned. Alright then, you lovely lot, welcome back to Budget Cars and Bikes, and it is Sunday, the something or other of June, the 2nd I think it is, and I've popped over to Plimpton to Harley Davidson to have a look at this bad boy here. It's the FatBob Harley Davidson, the 114. There's not a huge amount I can tell you about it. Please don't expect engulfed in information, as it were, about specs for this bike, that kind of stuff. I'm basically going to let you know what I think of it. I've been riding 40 years now, and I've never ridden a Harley Davidson, and we've never had a Harley Davidson on the channel, so I thought it was about time. And I like the look of the FatBob because I absolutely adore these big fat wheels on here, very kind of a 50s Harley kind of look to it. And I like the blacked out engine. I particularly like the bronze exhaust here, the forward controls, the way the bars are. I like the lights, the way it looks from the front. You've got this lovely dual band LED at the front there, the top one obviously being the normal daytime running lights, as it were, and then the high beam just below that. You've got this kind of Cerakoted fork brace here as well, which is really nice. Fork protectors. Obviously double disc brakes at the front, as I said, forward controls, fully adjustable at the back for the suspension as well. I don't think there's much in the way of adjustment at the front, if I'm honest, just down there, but there's probably going to be some. There's a very, very minimalistic digital and analog display there, as you can see. Here you'll get some little bits of info. It does have a fuel gauge, miles per hour, and a rev counter. The miles per hour, though, is absolutely tiny. I'm not sure you can see that. Single-sided fuel cap here. I don't know if you guys know, but most Harleys have a dual cap, as it were, here. One of them's fake and one of them's real, but now they've just gone to the one. I do like the fat seat at the front, but I think a passenger might struggle a bit there, to be quite honest, unless they were a skinny binny. The back looks absolutely stunning. Again, I'm not hugely impressed with this kind of wraparound number plate system here, which they took off the original GSs, I think. A lot of manufacturers are doing that. I'm on the fence about that. I do like the LED rear. I'm assuming they're daylight running lights, as it were, and brake lights and indicators all combined. If we just put the hazards on for a second, well, I'll just put on one of the indicators for now. As you can see, you get the indicator inside the kind of ringlet, the angel eye, as it were, and then obviously when you brake, those will light up as well. I kind of like that, but as I said, I'm not impressed with that rear seat. That just looks, I don't know, a little bit odd, but the rest of it looks absolutely stunning. I think you'd have to agree. Standard exhaust on this one. Now, price-wise, these, let me just turn this indicator off a second, because I think you have to press it again. Yeah, there we go. These are used now, going for around about 12 to 14 grand, something around there. Harley Davidson in Plimpton actually have a black one in at the moment, although it's not black. It's kind of a very, very dark grey, shall we say, with, again, the beautiful bronze exhaust just down the side there, but it's also got Vance and Hines, which will make it sound awesome. We'll start this up in a second, and I'll let you know what it sounds like with just the cans, and then we'll take it out for a little ride. One thing I will say about these Harley Davidsons that has kind of really freaked me out the first time I saw it, and it's just done it again now, is when you put it on the side stand, you think the side stand's down, and it is down, but when you jump off, it goes down again by about 2 inches. It literally feels like it's going to fall over. It's not. I'm assuming it's a kind of a cantilever affair there where the sand kind of goes down slightly and then it drops when you get off the bike, when the weight's lifted. Very, very odd to get used to, but I guess you would. Hazard lights are on now for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Let's see if we can get those off, otherwise we won't be going far. But yeah, as I said, the side stand is interesting. Let's get this bad girl started up and I'll let you hear what she sounds like. Not a huge amount to say about the sound of this Harley, if I'm honest, or most modern Harleys. Now, this is one of the things that's been putting me off about buying a Harley for a very, very long time. The modern Harleys is they don't sound like a Harley. Not to me. I mean, I've been riding for 40 years. I've been used to old school Harleys and what they sound like, and these new ones are so muted. It's tragic when I think you'll be able to tell. There's just nothing to it. It doesn't sound like a Harley. You wouldn't go through a country village on this and people go, oh my God, that's a Harley coming. They probably think it was a GS. But that's probably my only negative about the newer Harleys, is the fact that they just don't sound like Harleys. And that seat, I don't know, the way it's sculpted, it looks almost off. I'd prefer personally to have that chopped off around about there and just get rid of the back seat. Maybe you can. Maybe they've got a single seat option. I'm assuming they do. I know the parts catalogues are bloody enormous for Harley Davidson. But as I said, Plimpton Harley do have this same model in a kind of a grey, very, very dark grey with Vance and Hines on there as well. So I'm sure that would sound bloody epic. Anyway, let's take this bad girl out for a ride and see what it's all about. Get that sign stand up. The mirrors are bloody stiff. Okay, clutch is, yeah, pretty hard actually, I've got to say. The clutch, and as is the gear. Pulling away, yeah, no problem at all. My good God, I've done exactly the same as you'll probably do. I've gone to put my feet down where I think the peds should be, and they're not there, of course, are they? Because it's forward control. So anyway, we're off for a little bimble. I've got to be very, very careful because it's not my bike, and it is a £1,000 excess if you drop any bike when you're out on a test ride with Harley Davidsons. Although it could be a lot bloody worse, couldn't it? Because Triumph, I'm not sure if you saw the video we did on the Speed Twin when we took that out, which coincidentally is right next door to Harley Davidson. They want £2,500 excess. So yeah, there's that. At least Harley Davidson's only £1,000 excess. Anyway, I digress. The FatBob, it feels really nice actually, guys. Scarily nice, in the respect that, you know, you think to yourself, I need one of these. It sounds better when you're on it, if that makes sense. When you stood next to it and you rev it up, it just doesn't sound like a Harley, not to me. But it sounds a lot better when you're on it. And it feels a lot better than I thought it would. The riding position is actually really, really nice. It's a bit low, but you expect that. It's a Harley Davidson, of course it's going to be low. How's it to find neutral, I wonder? Yeah, not too bad. As I said, the digital aspect down here of the Harley is very minimal. You've got the clock, the fuel gauge, miles to empty, and the miles per hour. So if you wanted to keep your eye on your miles per hour, it's not going to be an easy thing to do intuitively, because you look down and you think, well, where is it then? And it's that tiny little pop there that says I'm doing 20. Which, yeah, okay. So let's get out onto the A38. We'll see what it cruises like, because this is what these bikes are kind of all about, really, isn't it? Going around corners on a Harley is very, very different to going around corners on pretty much any other bike, I think, really, because of the low centre of gravity. But we're here, and coming off the GS onto here as well is interesting. Obviously, riding a GS 1250 and then jumping onto a low-down Harley Davidson, you have to kind of get used to that. You do feel much lower to the ground. It's kind of bizarre. I kind of like it though, if I'm honest. It would be nice to have a gear indicator. I'm not sure if it does. Yes, it does. There you go. Tiny, tiny little thing just down there. But again, everything on that screen there is so bloody tiny, it's really hard to get your head around. But I guess that's kind of a good thing, because I was out on the 1250 GS yesterday, and because that's got such a huge screen and it's directly in your eye line, and there's so much information you can access at any time you want, I was just bored basically, cruising along 50, 60 miles an hour on a B road, and I went through the menus just to see what the suspension was doing. I suddenly look up and there's a car stopped in the middle of the road. How I didn't hit it is there for the grace of God. So as I said, minimalistic might actually be saving lives, because you're not getting preoccupied with all the crap that's going on your dashboard. You're just sitting on the bike and riding. And this, so far, is a pleasure. I don't think much of the wing mirrors, or mirrors per se, there's no wings on this. But this, I mean, we're doing 55 miles an hour and it feels like we're like in first gear going around a roundabout. Really, really nice. But I think you have to kind of tuck your elbows in to really see what's going on behind you. I'm not a fan of that. Once there's a clear bit of road, I'll pull back the throttle, see what the torque's all about. But I mean, what a beautiful day for being on a Harley. The one thing I'll say about the seat, which we were talking about that just now, is that it does kind of dig into your lower back a little bit, and that's what I was talking about just now, where it just looks a bit odd. I'm not sure that's necessary. It's hard to know, of course, until you go out and you're on a longer ride, but so far, after 5 minutes, I think that would get a bit annoying, because it feels like someone's pushing into my back. It's almost like you've got a pillion. Right, let's pull this throttle back and see what happens. Well, that was nice and easy. 76 miles an hour with no fuss whatsoever. Now we get up to 70. Bearing in mind this has got cruise control as well. So we're now getting on for 70 miles an hour, 6th gear, 2,500 revs. Vibration wise, yeah, there is a bit, I'll be honest. This seems to be far more comfortable around about 65, if I'm honest. So you could set the cruise control on here. There is vibration, a lot of vibration coming through the forward control pegs. Not so much through the seat, that's fine. The bars, yeah, they're fine, that's not too bad. But through the pegs, through the forward control pegs, there's a lot of vibration, I have to admit. But only at certain speeds. I mean, now we're doing 60 miles an hour and that seems to have disappeared. Let's see if we can get out behind this bugger here. The other thing is not being able to look down and see where the indicators are. As I said, I mean, you can have something like the GS 1250 where all the information is directly in your eye line, but that can be distracting. Or you can just have this very minimalistic kind of setup here, which shows you everything you need to see, but you're not constantly looking at it, which I actually got to say I think is probably safer. It was for me anyway yesterday. But yeah, I mean, this is nice. Although The one negative for me, I would say, is it feels very small. It's not a small bike. I mean, I guess it is compared to some of the big Harleys, but it feels a bit small for me. I'm not sure. Yeah, as I said, I'm just not sure whether I think I'd have to, if I could, I'd love to take one of these away for a weekend, just see how I get on with it. And I'd love to hear it with the Vance and Hines as well, because this is so muted. You could be on anything, really, sound-wise. It doesn't sound like a Harley, which is a real shame. And I know they've got to do the whole Euro 5, Euro 6 crap. But to, you know, stifle the beautiful sound of a Harley Davidson seems like sacrilege to me. So now we're doing 55. This thing just, it's a joy to ride at 55, 60. So we're going to turn around in a second and head back to Plimpton, because I've got my first impressions, as it were, my initial impressions of what this FatBob is all about. There are some things I like, and there are things I don't like, but I think that could be said for pretty much any motorcycle in the world, and especially for me. As I said, I'm going to take it back to Mark, who's the sales guy at Plimpton Harley Davidson. Huge thank you to them for letting me take this out. I'd be very interested to ride something just a little bit bigger, if I'm honest, and see how I get on with that. I mean, this doesn't feel as agricultural as the last FatBob I rode. I haven't mentioned this yet, but I did ride a 2012, I think it was, from this same dealer about 6-7 years ago, and I really didn't get on with that. It was so agricultural, it just shook from side to side. It was like being on a bloody tractor, and that was on a 2012. They've upped their game hugely. I think this engine now has rubber mounts, whereas the other one didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, of course, which I probably am. And it feels far more refined now, far more refined, as I hoped and thought it might. So if I can get this same kind of refinement on something slightly bigger, I think that could be a goer. I mean, I've got to try a Harley. I've got to own a Harley before I give up riding forever, haven't I? It'd be rude not to. But so far, initial impressions, yeah, I actually really like this. And as I said, that is our initial impressions and first kind of walk around review of the 2020 FatBob from Harley Davidson in very standard form. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's been of some help to you. If it has, consider subscribing, give this video a like, a share, a thumbs up, all that good stuff. If you want to see what's happening earlier than most, then obviously follow us on TikTok, Instagram and Facebook. We've always got stuff going on there. But from Budget Cars and Bikes, this has been a review of the Harley Davidson FatBob, the newer version as it were, and my initial thoughts. And we'll catch up in a couple of weeks' time when we take something else out, or I give you my thoughts on something, or we drive something. I'm sure something will be happening. As I said, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell, and you'll find out every time we release a video. But from us at Budget Cars and Bikes, that is it. I'm going to cruise around for a bit longer like a bad boy from the 50s on this lovely Harley. And I'll catch up with you guys soon. Take care, ride safe, see you later.